Hi, and welcome back to the best thing you watched this week. There is Chris from Movies and Munchies and myself, Ruben from the Ruby Tuesday. We have a Patreon that starts at £1 with over 85 videos in there now. And the reason why I started talking about that in the best thing you watched is because we're having a lot of fun there at the moment, and I want to include you guys in it. Some of the stuff that they've asked us to review, our Patreon members, have been really unique, different, ranging from the incredibly nasty, dark stuff to the incredibly stuff that's out there. And I feel like I'm a better review critic for it because I have a wider knowledge of stuff that just wouldn't have ever been in my idea. But in amongst that, we have like skits and movie quizzes, all of that kind of stuff that you get some on here, but there's some outside of the pay scale wall. My words melded, and then you have to decipher, do a decode. Yeah. So I just thought I'd let everybody know that is there. But this week, we're going to be doing the same thing as we normally do. Best thing we watched first in the audio exclusive, wherever you listen to podcasts. We're going to be talking about a movie I've never seen. And Chris recommended it, and I'm so happy I happened to find it on Prime, at least in the UK. I'm very excited to talk about this one. So I'll let you discover what that is when you go onto the audio podcast version, wherever you listen to podcasts. If you like it, share the love. And then we're going to be talking about, in the podcast section, our favorite, what we're looking forward to. It's always interesting this time of year because it tends to go up and down, a little bit dips, this is a good week, and then it's just really slow. So we'll see what we have in store for you. A little bit of entertainment news as well. That's the general format. But we also talk about things that didn't quite make the list or is poo. That's where all that goes.
Mine is poo this week.
I'm probably going to do a rant. And it's probably going to be about 3 things, and it's going to be like a 9-minute rant.
Sweet. I am looking forward to this.
Yeah. However, the way we start is we do a movie quiz every week for the last few months, or a year now, I think. I don't know how long you've been doing it, Chris. But you've been doing these quotes from movies that we're meant to be able to guess them. And I say meant to because last week you did a few, and there were loads of people that guessed the answers right.
There were? Yeah. Well, I'm going to say it's because we were doing it live.
Okay.
I'm going to say that's why, because we didn't get anybody that answered in the comments or even in the chat, which I understand in the chat that's going, we're going a mile.
That's going fast,
there. So exactly. So, hey, everybody won. Congratulations. Good job, everybody. The answers for last week were Kill Bill, Volume 1, Black Mass, and Boondock Saints. And so it had
Kill
to do
Bill,
with
Boondock Saints and the Last Mask.
Black Mass.
Oh, Black Mass.
Yes. Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp, yeah.
Yeah.
So what's the connection?
Movies with gangsters.
Oh, wow. That was a really random one. That's pretty tough. I've never seen Black Mass, and I never want to. So.
Oh no, it's done really well.
I'm sure,
and it's
just looks really depressing.
Based on true story, too.
Yeah.
So it's he did a really good job in that.
Okay,
and it is kind of depressing, but yes,
yeah,
Okay, this week, you might be able to get them. I think these are a little more. Okay, maybe not. Ruben's just starting off with no. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Good. Number 1, I got a backpack on. You don't get in water with a backpack. Everybody knows that.
Okay, I think I got that one.
Cool. I don't need your blessing. This ain't Afghanistan. I'm not about to buy her with a goat. This girl loves me, man.
I don't think I have that one.
Okay. Number 3. Honey, black people don't go to therapy. We go to barbershops. That's where we talk about our problem. That's where we talk out our problems. Or we watch the movie Barbershop. One or the other.
Nice. Well, I don't know what the theme is there, so. Interesting.
I think if you can get the first one, it will put you on the right path.
Well, then I don't think I got the first one. I thought I did, but now I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, let us know in the comments. We'll give you the shout out next week. Ruben, do you have a question for us?
Yeah, this was going to be a part of entertainment news, but we can still talk about it in entertainment news. But
okay.
So Mickey Mouse has just become public domain, which I love, because already there's been so much stuff with Mickey Mouse. Adult Swim did a and something bitches or something rude, because you just know they're going to put it in Robot Chicken and stuff, and I can't wait, and Disney are upset about that. But what old timey-wimey stuff are you looking forward to becoming public domain, so we can see new iterations of them? Because I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, because it seems to be a popular trend, like since we had Cocaine Bear, then like Peter Pan and Bambi, and there's so many that they're taking that could be good if someone with a bit of skill in writing horror or comedy that could do a version. But the problem is we're not getting that. So
yeah, we had Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, which I enjoyed the experience. The movie was terrible, but it still was a lot of fun in the theater. But then we watched Mary Had a Little Lamb and Three Blind Mice.
Yeah. Dude.
Which okay, the actress that was in that,
yeah.
The redhead, she was in another fairy tale.
She's somehow managed to get in all three of the, found a niche.
Came out, yeah, this past year also, and I can't even remember it because I happened to was scrolling through something. I'm like, wait a minute, what? Ugh, I didn't even hear about this one, so it's going to be just as bad. For memes and stuff, the Steamboat Willie thing is funny.
Yeah.
I want some real good creativity, though.
Yeah.
If we're going to do these types of things.
I mean, to be honest, Mickey Mouse could be terrifying if done right. Yeah. Hey, kids. And then you're just running.
Well, but it's not Mickey Mouse. It's Steamboat Willie. That's the only thing that is in the public domain. So you can't even use Mickey Mouse's name.
What? You can only use Steamboat Willie.
It's only Steamboat Willie.
So it's Mickey Mouse before it was Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, it's that iteration. That
version.
It was Mickey Mouse playing Steamboat Willie, but
right.
Steamboat Willie is the thing that's in the public domain. Not,
right.
Yeah. So if you use the words Mickey Mouse, be prepared for some really powerful
some takedowns
lawyers to come after you.
Yeah.
I don't know though. I think the problem is right now with the instant culture that we have is everybody races to be first, and so which I understand, because then things get lost or whatever. But or people are like, well, I've already seen that and it was bad.
Yeah.
But we need just the time to make something very creative, and then go out, and then do that, and then I think that would be people would be more apt to participate in some of these things that go public domain.
Yeah. Okay.
But to answer your question, though, I don't know what I would want to. Everything would scare me that they.
Imagine gummy bears,
dude.
Gummy bears bouncing here and everywhere.
That could be a great comedy horror.
Oh my gosh! Yeah. Take some of our special juice. They make you bounce. That's never mind. I'm not going to go there. I'm not even. We're too early in the podcast. Yeah. Oh, it's 17 minutes in. Maybe. Still not going there.
No. Oh man.
All right. Should we move into the best thing we watched this week?
Yeah.
Cool.
You want to go first?
Yeah, so just to give you a heads up, I have one good thing, then I have an anime that I'm going to do as the best thing I watched this, and I still have anime at the end, and then I'm going to talk about two mediocre things, because I want to talk about them in this section, because some people will class them as the best thing they watched this week. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. But the best thing I watched this week is by far Boy Swallows Universe. Is a Netflix series that came out this week. It's obviously been adapted by the much-loved novel. I've not read the novel, but I watched this, and it's an emotional roller coaster. They're long episodes. Each episode's as long as it needs to be. So like they're varying time, and then at the end, I think there's like an hour and 17 minutes or something. So it wraps up big. But as much as I know there's like a lull in the middle, I didn't mind the time because they really spend the time on the characters. So basically, this young boy narrates his world. It's his journey like through his lifetime that we see him becoming a writer. But he's narrating to us, but he's also narrating to his pen pal, who is this guy in jail. It's because he is surrounded by a family that is kind of dodgy. His mother is a drug addict for part of her life. His father, or the boyfriend of the mother, who is his like surrogate father, is a drug dealer. His original dad has some issues as well. His brother doesn't speak. It's not that he can't, he doesn't, since he saw something when he was 7. And so his brother writes in the air, and he understands, like he writes like as if like what he's saying to his brother, and he understands. And there's a little bit of a supernatural thing going on as well. His brother seems to understand, like he writes something, he'll say something and doesn't make sense, but later on it will make sense to you, like it was almost fortune telling. Which is brings an interesting side to it. So it's not really supernatural, but there is an air of like supernatural in there. But it's just really real characters in some of the most hard moments in life, but those are exacerbated because of, like, we have the drug situation, we have the violence situation, and then we have the hopes and dreams of these young kids, especially our protagonists who we're following through life. There's a couple of different actors that play them, because we're one that's young and then one that's older as we follow them. And I think if you have a heart at all and you have any sort of emotions, you're going to feel just the range of like joy, horror, the thrill of like some of the stuff that they're going through, the anger at the injustice of some of the stuff that they go through. There's some real amazing monologues from both mother and father, just really human stuff, but like explaining what they're going through, but also realizing I'm not explaining this right. You have to step back away from it to see it as a picture as a whole of what this family is going through. And so when they do great monologue pieces, they're talking about it almost as outside of themselves, almost like, this is what we want from our life. We know we're stuck in this situation, but we want so much better for you. They realize the issues that they've got. There are moments when the father would lock the mother in a room in their house because they're trying to get her off smack, as they call it. And then it's like 2 days of her screaming and saying obscenities at her children and her partner, and the kids just crying, but knowing that this is for her better. Can't take her to a hospital or anywhere because their family will probably be broken up, and the fact that she's a drug addict, the police, so they're trying to handle things themselves. So they're a poor family for most of the time, but when there is joy, there's amazing joy, and it's very real. When there is danger, it's like more danger than most people will see in their life because of what they get into. It's funny in the situations that our kids find themselves in, but not as in like laughing out loud. It's told in a way that you want to watch the next episode because you want to know that they're going to be okay. And then when it ends, it finishes in such a way that is right, it feels satisfying, is not like terribly depressing, but is also accurate to the story. So you don't come away going, just kill myself off. No. It was such a treat. Like, if you need something really meaty. But I did say, as a caveat at the beginning, if you need something that's light, this is not it, because there's some really dark moments in it.
Sure.
But if you want something that's good, that will probably have in the TV awards year We probably have a number of these actors from young to old being awarded for a number of things. Then this is it. The time zone, I think, I'm trying to remember, was it 80s? I think it was 80s or 90s. Don't quote me on that. But I remember just feeling like that was right because of the location, the housing, and the accents as well. It really gave you an otherworldly, for me at least, an otherworldly. I could distance myself from the story because it's not close to me. It's not English or American, but it's Australian, I think. And it was just riveting. But I can imagine this will hit home for a lot of people if you've experienced any of these things, which is why I say with the caveat. Acting is incredible.
Is this one that you would go back to?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, because my wife hasn't watched it. I'd like to watch it with her to see her reactions and story and moments, and I could probably watch it again.
Okay, I was hesitant to watch it just because it looked very heavy, and
yeah, but
I wasn't sure.
It's not like heavy like trying to think of the birds.
Ozark.
Ozark, yeah, it's not like dark and grey like that. There's a lightness to it and levity in moments, and then it's dark in moments. So there's space to breathe, so you can enjoy the good stuff, and then be rooting for them to survive in the next part. So yeah, it's just life. Like
nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'll have to. Yeah, I don't know. Well, it's still on my list to watch.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna probably.
I think once you start, you won't be able to stop. Like you won't not want to finish it because you want to know. Because it starts off in such a way, and then it goes back. So it's like this happened, and this is how we got there, and you're like, holy crap.
Okay. Well, good. Well, that's promising too. I love it when I get like instantly hooked into something and.
Because I was like you, I wasn't sure, but there was the hook at the beginning. It was like, I gotta know.
Oh, okay. Oh, very good. Cool. First on my list is Criminal Record from Apple. Peter Capaldi, Cush Jumbo, which I like her in this way more than I like Peter Capaldi, except we're not supposed to like
You're not
Peter
supposed
Capaldi,
to like
so.
Capaldi. Yeah, but yeah, I get it. Yeah. Yeah. He's the instant douche.
Dude, yeah. Well, so you have it's a detective story and kind of a wrongful incarceration type thing. Somebody calls up and says that this dude who's been put away for murder and has spent the last decade or so or even more in jail for the murder didn't do it. They got the wrong guy. And so Cush Jumbo, who is she's a newer detective, much newer. She came from like the what was it, the domestic abuse type part, which is horrifying, and so she's seen these types of things. She's more sensitive to it. And then Peter Capaldi was the arresting officer in the old case. Yeah. He's now like a honored detective type of thing. And
yeah,
he's like
there's an old, what do you call them, like the boys club, and this totally is a thing in the police department here in the UK. So
it's here too.
All right, yeah. And those, you can't touch them.
Yeah. And then it weaves in other elements within things. The thing that really got me though with the series, and because it's weekly release, I'm not going to get into any kind of spoilers for it, but I just loved what the dynamic between Jumbo and Capaldi was, because Capaldi, you feel like he's the bad guy, but woven throughout this, there are moments where he asks questions.
Yeah, he's trying to find out if, well, for me, how I understood it, and I've only seen 3, so you can correct me if I'm wrong. He's trying to find out whether he did make mistakes back then. So, which makes me go, like, should we have done that? There's obviously some dodgy stuff going on, but he's asking questions in a way that makes me think, oh, they could have done better. Like, it's weird.
Yeah, and well, and because he also, like, he doesn't want to shoot down the questions that are being asked, but he then asks other questions. You know what I mean? He's like, because if you come at something from one mindset, like you have this frame of mind, right? And so he's not devil's advocate, but he's just asking a different question to the same, so that somebody
but
could
I
approach.
thought maybe he was steering the investigation another way because he didn't want the spotlight on those questions.
Oh, no, I could see that. Yeah. He, I liked their dynamic, and I liked how I couldn't necessarily tell, throughout most of it, of should I believe him? Is this just a circumstance? Is she maybe too close to something, or is she putting a view on something because of her background in like domestic violence and everything that she's automatically thinking this way, or what? Capaldi reminded me of a character kind of like Luther.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say Doctor. Yeah. A doctor.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, I think I've seen him someplace before.
No, Luther. Okay. Yeah. Highly intelligent. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and Luther always rode that line of dodgy. I mean, he wasn't dodgy, and he didn't break the law, but he would come very close, right? And sometimes he would do things that, I don't know. He would use, like, it was unconventional. Yeah. I think maybe that's what it is, and it yeah. So that's kind of how I saw Peter Capaldi also, because you get to see throughout the series, like, they have both sides have informants. The lawyer that is representing the guy that's in prison, she has a network of people. The guy's mom has, she's been trying to free her son all this time and stuff. Yeah. So it's done really well.
Is there a big mystery reveal at the end? Because I think it's episode 2. There's a moment where Peter Capaldi is in the car and he's driving, and he goes, "You shut up." And it could be one of two things. He's talking to himself because he looks in the mirror, or he's talking to another person. And I was thinking, if he's talking to another person, then it could be a person that they're looking for, which means that he has this person the whole long, and he is the big evil villain. And I was like, they wouldn't be that obvious about it, would it? So anyway, that. Oh.
Yeah, I'm not gonna comment on that. I don't think there were moments that were a little more surprising to me.
Okay.
As
is it worth watching then past 3?
Like, I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know the week to week type of thing. I mean, each episode is compelling.
Would you watch it in chunks? Would that be better? Like 3 and 3?
Yeah, I mean, I think probably my biggest hesitation would be that do you forget little bits here and there from week to week, without chunking it up. Because in the screeners, I don't believe there was even like a last time.
There's not a recap, yeah.
Yeah, which...
It depends on how much you watch week to week. Like for us, for sure, that week to week would be tough because we watch so much. Like, what happened? Yeah. Who's this?
Yeah, abnormal, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I imagine most people that do a normal 9 to 5, week on week, if this is what they've chosen to watch every week on this day when it releases, they'll be like, oh yeah, Peter Capaldi was in a blue thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe watch, because the first 2 episodes dropped, right? And then now episode 3 is coming up this week.
Yeah.
I would maybe watch, if you watched the show already and like you're kind of into it, watch episode 3 and see how you feel. Was that satisfying, or, and if not, then maybe skip a week and watch 2 episodes or something like that. So,
okay.
But it's, the acting was phenomenal.
Great acting.
there's a lot of tense moments.
A lot of tense running, actually. Like, really well filmed. There's I don't know what episode it is. There's a fight scene between our female protagonist and a big dude. And this is one of the issues I've had in a lot of movies and TV series, where a young, small girl, even strong, is able to overpower a big dude. And realistically, in the real world, doesn't matter how much training you have. In close quarters combat, a big dude's going to pick you up, you can throw your punches and whatever, and he's just going to smack you down. And so we had this chase scene that I thought was like, and fight scene was really realistic, because she was getting her, her training kicked in, she was getting her punches in, but she almost didn't make it because he was so big, it was just able to overwhelm her. And I was like, that's one of the most realistic, gritty fight scenes I've seen in a while. Yeah, it was good. It was good. The whole thing. I love the filming of this. It's very British. Oh, for sure.
And
it's very like BBC drama. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, that's great.
That's
I love it. And yeah, huge. So
nice.
Oh man. Okay, what's next on your list?
It's an anime. I think I mentioned last week that you guys just should be aware of an anime called Undead Unluck, and I tried to explain what it was. A lot of the fans people who've been watching this. There's 5 episodes that's available in the UK, at least, on Disney through Star, and it's English, so it's not like the original version. So I watched those 5 and I was really intrigued. Like, a very interesting storyline. A girl that is cursed. There are so many rules set upon this world, this version of Earth, that you kind of have to keep watching to understand this anime at all. So it gets more complicated as you go along. But this girl is cursed with unluck, which basically means that if she touches anybody or somebody touches her, depending on how much she is emotionally engaged with you. So if she likes you, the unluck will be like 10 times worse. An example, in the first episode, there's this guy that stops her from committing suicide because she's so sad that she can't ever touch anybody, having a physical relationship with anybody, because so she's 18, she's about to jump into a train, and this guy grabs her and he stops her and touches her skin and stuff, and she's freaking out. She's like, you don't understand. But she obviously has an emotional connection to him already, because he's basically doesn't care, and he heard what she was saying like just before she was jumped off, so he was intrigued and touched her on purpose, and then like brought her in. So there's an asteroid that comes, like, just flies out of space and hits him, and you're like, holy crap, this poor dude, he's just saved her and just decimated. But he has a curse on him that he cannot die. And he's been trying to die. Like, he's done everything. He's lived a very long time, but he hasn't found a way to die because he just keeps regenerating really fast. He has an ability where he chops off the tips of his finger, and they can grow. He can control the growth into him or parts of his body and use them as weapons. And he flies around when his legs are like chopped off, he uses like blood momentum. It's really weird and it's really gory. So when you're watching this, like, as you start, I thought, okay, this is unique. It's wacky, like Chainsaw Man, in that way. It's weird. It's an odd one. I love the weird ones, but I can understand why people have said, oh, this is like, it's mid-tier, it's fine. Then when I got to episode 8, it changes the game up so much that I was like, holy crap, this has jumped up into like, I guess it's like one of my top animes at the moment because we're early, but like if it was last year, it would have just gone up there, because it does something with one of our main protagonists. And I don't know how to say this without doing spoilers. Let me just say it does something. I'm sure it's been done before, but it's done in a way that makes the stakes really real, that you care for the characters, especially our 2 favorite. There's something that happens, and I'm like, I didn't see that coming. There's an organization that protects Earth, they have like 11 members. They all have abilities, and they are basically told to protect Earth from people with abilities, that because their abilities will run amok and there's some abilities that are so crazy that will destroy Earth. This is book, I don't know, it's such a weird anime to try and explain. There's a book that basically gives them these quests that is called Apocalypse, and it has teeth and eyes, and they have to fulfill these quests in a time limit. If they don't fulfill all of them, then they get a penalty. And penalty is stuff like that we take for granted on Earth, like some of our senses. At Earth, in this time, in the first 8 episodes, there was no stars in the sky, but they might be cursed, for example, with universe. And universe means that there was always a universe suddenly, and now that might be invaded by aliens because we've been around millions of years. So there's moments like this in this anime that use things in our law, in Earth's law, that we just take for granted as that was always the thing. And but they take things that we know and love and say, but what if it was actually like this, and these were curses, and this was the rules, that there is a God that made all these rules, but those rules can be perverted, and people with powers. And it just gets more unique and unique. And I thought I'd watched all the episodes. I hadn't. It turns out it's one of those long animes. There's 26 episodes going to be airing for the first.
Oh my gosh.
I've seen the first 14. So if you're dying to watch more and know what's going to go and watch it on 9 Anime or Hulu, because I think it might be classed in America as a Hulu original. Because I kept seeing its logo, the Hulu original logo. But there is that website which I watch on 9 Anime, which currently has the first 14.
Okay, yeah, let me look here. I'm pulling up Hulu to see if
okay, cool.
Yeah, let's see.
It's one of those you need to give a few episodes times. Like, it'll be mid and you enjoy it. And the animation fight sequences in that episode 8 and 9, I was like, this is great. You've done really well. Especially as I didn't expect the twist.
Well, in the US on Hulu, there are 14 episodes so far available.
There you go.
And you can either watch it in sub or dub.
Awesome. Highly recommending watching that original language. Okay. My wife watched a couple with me in the American, and it just really not great. It's they're not bad, but they're the traditional high-pitched noises, and I want the emotions that go with the characters.
Yes.
Okay,
cool.
So Undead Unluck, go and watch that stuff. Yeah.
Nice. All right, my next up is, I have not watched all of this show yet. I am halfway through it.
Okay.
I believe. It came out on Netflix this week. It is a Polish crime drama called Detective Forst.
I was hoping you, because I want to know it, because it looks good. It looks interesting.
So far, I'm really enjoying it. I don't know if it's going to stick the landing or not. But
it's only 6 episodes, right?
It is, yeah. And so it takes place in these mountains, and that's
what attracted me, the cold, dark blue grayscape. I was like, yeah.
What's crazy is every time, almost every time a scene changes, we're given the elevation also.
Oh, that's weird.
Like above sea level, and I don't know how that's necessarily going to play in, or if maybe it just doesn't. Maybe it's just to say that we're really high up. Yeah, I don't. But we have this guy, this detective. He's rough around the edges. He rubs everybody basically the wrong way. He doesn't get along with his superior for a number of very obvious reasons, some of which take place right at the very beginning. But the kills, it's kind of, we're at this point where there's there's a mystery of these people who are just showing up in crazy poses. Like the first one we see, there was this giant metal cross on the top of a mountain, and it looks kind of like a high voltage tower, but it's a cross. Well, and stuck up there, kind of crucified to look that way, is a body. And there are elements or items that begin to tie all these together. And then we have like these mysterious people who, rich or powerful, don't really know yet, kind of sitting alone in their, their mansion, for lack of a better, it's because it's not really a mansion, it's more than that. But, and they're looking through photos, or they're watching things on video screens. I mean, you almost expect them to have a cat and just
maniacal.
Exactly. So there's history involved in this that we're just beginning to really scratch the surface of how it's connected. And so I'm very intrigued in where this is going to go. And, my brain is working like, okay, well, how, if this and this are these, then where does that put, or how does that make the killer, or what would be that? I'm trying to work it out, and that's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's very cold. Yes. It's somewhat dark. I like that our protagonist of Forst is not always the most likable person, because it makes me, I have to work at liking him, sort of, but that makes the case even better, because he's like, I want him to succeed, to figure out the case, to solve the case, but I also want him to get better. You know what I mean? But he may not get better. He may just be who he is, and that's just
Might be
how
better
he
writing.
solves things.
Yeah.
Yeah, like House. Greg House is a dick, but
that's
he's
why I couldn't watch it.
And
I watched season 1. My wife watched the rest, but I couldn't handle him. Yeah.
I see. I can see that. I mean, it's tough when you have a protagonist who is brilliant and bristling.
I would call House a dick. Yeah.
yeah. I don't know if Forst is brilliant. He's so we'll see. It's only 6 episodes. They're not long episodes either. They're like 40-45 minutes ish, something like that. Yeah. I'm really looking forward to finishing it out. And if it goes south, and
tune in next week.
Sucks. Yeah, Chris is gonna be pissed.
Yeah,
because So I don't know.
Frost was crap.
Yeah, well, see, and that's the thing too, because I've watched some Polish series where I love them, and I've watched some where they start out really strong, and then they crumble at the very end, and you're like, oh, that you wasted all of that potential that you had building up, and just so we'll see where it goes.
Okay. Okay, so I've done like the best thing I watched this week, but I'm going to be talking about another 2 things just because I think some people will have this on the best thing they watched. The first one I'll talk about is Echo, the Disney MCU edition of Echo. So personally, I think the best Echo TV series we had was the 2 episodes that Echo, or 3 episodes that Echo was in Hawkeye series. I thought that was a really good story. I liked the inclusion. This time around, they went places that I wasn't expecting. It's a 16 plus, but it doesn't deserve that. Like, it needed to be so much darker and grittier. They've said now that the Netflix Marvel series is now canon, which is great news. But literally, just go watch the first 3 episodes of Daredevil and then watch the first 3 episodes of Echo and see if they deserve the same age restriction, because you'll be laughing. That doesn't necessarily mean dark is better. It just, for some characters like this who have a really dark story, to be able to tell what they're going through, you need to be able to show that. And with Echo's storyline, it does feel like she's one of those. If you're involved in the Fisk storyline universe, whereas Fisk is your surrogate father, that needs to be dark. And Fisk this time around, I mean, he's always great. He's a great actor, but they made him almost to be like the cartoon. He's much bigger. Like there's one time when he's wearing a suit, they're trying to make him look like the cartoon, but they've lost that menacing presence that they managed to portray. what I liked about the series is like the behind the scenes stuff of what they did for the actress who is actually deaf. They all took ASL, and so when she came on set, they were saying hello to her and speaking to her in sign, which I thought was incredible. And it's like, that's so cool. But I can't sit here and go, yeah, I really loved it. I thought it was fine. Like, it wasn't terrible. There was just, I expected more. I like the idea of the background of bringing the Native American law into it. I thought it was really interesting. So they show us where that comes from. I think they spent either too much on it or they didn't give us enough episodes to warrant spending that much time on it, because the first episode felt massively rushed. It's like the whole episode is basically a catch up on her life story from young to old, and they just go through that in the first episode. I felt like that needed 2 or 3 episodes. So like, show us her growing up, show us what that means, show us what she went through, do a bit more about the parents, and then when we go into her being like surrogately living with Fisk, give us a bit more of that, rather than just go blah 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 and that's her life story. So now you care about this, because when stuff happened, I just didn't care. There was no real emotional connection for me with any of the characters, and that it was just, it felt like subpar writing, honestly. And that's what I felt like about most of the Marvel stuff that this time around. For this like in the MCU, it just felt like paint by numbers, get it done and get it out sort of thing. And so you can watch it because it's adding to the story, and you've been invested so far. You want to know what's going on next, because just in case they mention something in another series or movie, you don't want to like what does that mean? Yeah. So I like the actress. I thought she did a fantastic job with her character. I just don't think they've given her a good enough story for her character. This doesn't bode well for Daredevil at all.
Well, okay. Question first.
Yes.
This is the first time I believe that they've dropped all episodes at once.
Yes. But it's only 5. It's too short. They're like 40
short.
minutes. Like literally, they're doing that thing. 2 minutes recap for each episode. Then the intro, which is about an episode, so it's 3 minutes. The credits are 67 minutes. So when we're saying 43-minute episodes, what are you getting? In 5 episodes in the whole series? That's so much rush.
And here's the thing, too. If you're dropping them all at once, you don't need the recap.
No, you don't at all. No. What's the point? They could have each had 10 minutes more story on all of them easily, and they needed it. Okay.
For Daredevil, I mean, there's some news that we can talk about later in the audio only portion, but remember they did scrap it, like the script, and
they were doing a 16 series, and then they scrapped it because obviously somebody watching that this is not nearly good enough. Yeah.
So that at least has me maybe a little bit more.
I don't know. Some executives saw this and went, "Yeah, this is awesome. Give it a 16." They even have a warning at the beginning of each episode, like viewers' discretion advised. Like, what are you advising us for? Like, when, where, show me.
Well, because it's Disney,
and that's what everybody was worried about. Was it going to get Disney-fied? No, it's been given a 16. What for?
Yeah, it's TVMA.
Yeah,
here in the U.S.
So, okay. Oh, there you go.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't watched it. I got like screeners for at least the first 3 episodes or something, and I didn't even watch. Do you
remember the day when we got screeners for the Disney stuff when we were like on it? We were like, yeah, can't wait. And now it's just like a bummer. Like, do I have to?
Yeah. Well, and it's nothing special, unfortunately.
Exactly.
That's the thing, that the series are lacking that oomph and that story depth. Like, why would you just do a 5 episode series?
It's not just Disney, though. I feel that about a lot of the stuff from a lot of streaming platforms. I mean, Netflix have been doing this for ages. So, anywho,
yeah.
Before I get into my next one, do you have anything more for the best thing you watched this week?
I do not.
Okay, then I will get into this next one.
Okay.
Okay, The Beekeeper. That just came out. Have you had a chance to watch this yet?
I have not. The trailer, like, checked everything that I would want it to be. Stupid.
Yes. Yeah.
High action.
Yes.
And, well, basically that's it.
No,
stupid and high action.
And that's what it is. Like,
okay.
So it's a Jason Statham movie that he wants vengeance. He's doing a Liam Neeson, doing what Neeson knows how to do, except Statham still looks really good at doing it. So no offense, Neeson, but like stop doing those Taken movies because.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, so The Beekeeper, there's an organization of, like, what's the highest tier of super agent you can think of?
I don't know.
Let's think like the blacklisters on the CIA hit list. Right?
Yeah,
like,
sure.
Or
sure,
SAS, or whatever. Yeah, okay, so these guys would be puppies to this team called the Beekeepers. These guys are so good at what they do. They live outside of the law. Each country around the world's top government has basically given them the green light. So when stuff needs to happen, stuff can happen, and they watch the world. They're like the governors.
They're the A-team.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they tend to work alone, so not necessarily A-team. So each... It will be like normally it's like one member, unless it's a big thing, and then they'll. Wow, you just made a joke, didn't you? It's a dad joke. Yeah. Nice.
Thank you.
Where was it? Yeah. So Jason Statham is an ex-beekeeper. He left that life alone because he didn't like stuff that was going on with him anymore. He just didn't feel it was right. Anyway, so. A woman took him in, allowed him to live or work on her land, and he ends up beekeeping, which is a little on the nose, which is funny because he turns her garden into something that's living, not dead, and she's keeping the bees, and they have this really cute relationship. And I'll show you seeing in the trailer. She gets hacked because it's one of those scams where they call you up and say, "Hey, blah 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 blah," and this old woman she falls for it, and it's like it's painful and it's very real because and it's almost happened to me. It's happened to a few of my friends. They're getting so good at the scams these days that they can easily take your money. She just happens to be in charge of because she's like the historian or something for some organization for kids, so she has access to their money, and it's quite a bit of money. And they take everything. And because she can't handle it, she kills herself. And so Statham reactivates, basically. And the first action scene after the initial beginning is him tracking down these guys in the call center, where they do their... It's in America, it's one of these sky rises. And it's awesome. Like, imagine just rows and desks of people with computers, and he just goes and decimates that entire place. And that's what the movie is. It's just him going from place to place, wrecking havoc.
Okay.
Josh Hutcherson?
Hutcherson?
Yeah, Hutcherson plays a character that is so generic bad guy that I laughed quite a bit. I think that was possibly the on purpose. It's like, I'm a villain. Like, if you'd given him a cat, that would have been fine. The thing is, I think I have an expectation of Jason Statham movies because I've seen pretty much every one of them, and I have like a deep love for how he showcases his martial arts and his moves. And I felt like it was almost phoning it in a bit in this one. Like, I've seen him do better stunts than this. Even the stuff you've seen on the trailers, that's kind of where it's at. Doesn't really get better than that. Like, if you like that, then you'll enjoy it, and it's great. And there's some gnarly kills as well, which I think is when it gets really fun, when he's killing the bad guys in nasty ways. That's fun. But when I think back to movies like The Transporter 1, 2, and 3, not necessarily good movies at all, but really fun. And some of those martial art moves that he does are really great. I think back to the oil slick one where he covers himself in oil and he's fighting a bunch of guys in the warehouse and they're trying to grab onto him and they're slipping all over the place and he's doing things that are absolutely ridiculous. But you kind of buy it and believe it because it's Jason Statham. You know, it's that sort of thing. So this isn't a bad film. It's just not as great as I wanted it to be on that level.
I saw some publicity photos, and it says it's a Sky original. So is it streaming in the UK?
It's streaming. No, it's not streaming yet, but it will be. But it will be really soon. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. So it's still in the cinema. Theaters there also.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's like just a week. I think it'll be streaming.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's not. Yeah. Well, let me ask you this, because it's a David Ayer film.
Yeah.
And he's had hit and miss.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like many directors. So it's not that unique. And I'm not bagging on this guy by any means. I just want to. Or it's more so of, is there like some of his movies, they lack just certain bits that...
Yeah, that's totally this movie. That's what it is. That's why I think I was disappointed, because I expected to like be more emotionally engaged. Not hugely, just give me enough to care about. I know this is going to be A to B, but just make it a little bit... I'm thinking about... Statham did this movie, was it Home Invasion? I've got to look it up now. He's living in America, somewhere, I don't know where in the outskirts, but he's got to look after a daughter, and he upsets some, I think it's rednecks. Do you remember that one?
No.
I'm just looking for it now. Past the Expendables. Oh, Homefront. There it is. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I did. No, I didn't see that.
Okay, so he's a former DEA agent, moves his family to a quiet town where he soon tangles with a local meth drug lord. So, like, he's taking his daughter to school, and he gets in a confrontation with this meth head because their kid is going to the school as well, and he tries to do like the good thing, and he keeps trying to do the good thing, to eventually he's got to put his foot down, just say, hey, you know, this is not right. But the meth head has a cousin who's like a bigger drug dealer or something, and they all come down to, you know, attack him and defeat him. There was so much more emotional engagement in that, because you really cared for him. You were worried about the little girl, the family, you know, who he was protecting, also the town. It's like amazing fight sequences, but it has emotional value to it. I've seen that film a number of times now. It's one of my guilty pleasures that I can just stick on whenever. I highly recommend watching that one instead of The Beekeeper, because it has everything that's the same that The Beekeeper has, but you'll care more about it. So,
okay. I'm just looking over David Ayer's stuff. And yeah, and like, I mean, from directing standpoint, I mean, you've got End of Watch, which was outstanding.
That was so Fury. Good. Yeah.
I mean, that's a devastating movie, but it is so well done.
So is Fury, actually. Fury is fantastic.
I thought that was, well, but then I look over at his writing credits, and he did not write The Beekeeper. Right. So maybe that's where a lot of this comes. But I mean, gosh, he wrote the screenplay on U-571, Fast and the Furious, Training Day.
Wow.
And then End of Watch, Fury. But then you have like Suicide Squad, which it wasn't as bad as everybody, I think.
No, it's not. It's just wasn't great.
It was just lackluster, I think, is really what it was. Yeah, it just wasn't great, and it missed some key points. But I don't know. It's just a bummer that this didn't fully engage in what it could be. You know what I mean? Because if you have a little bit of that emotional investment, it makes it more exciting versus just a wall of action that's happening. because then it's just, and I love the explosions. I love the kills. I mean, I watched, just in the trailer alone, there's some fun things that are happening. I mean, good grief, he straps the dude to the back of his truck and sends it
I mean, I've seen some people say that it's just a great 90s film. Like, it's a harking back to 90s. And maybe if I go and watch it again and I look at it like that, I'll enjoy it more. Maybe I was a little bit moody because, I get moody sometimes, and maybe my expectations were different because of the state I was in. It's totally right, because just looking at his directed films, I pretty much love all of his films. Like, Harsh Times is fantastic. Streakings is excellent. End of Watch, Sabotage, I enjoyed. That's one of the better Arnie films that we've had recently. Fury is amazing. Bright, I enjoyed much more than everybody else.
No, I'm sorry, that was a poo movie.
Yeah, see, like I said, I enjoyed much more than everybody else. I've not seen The Tax Collector. I don't know what that is.
I haven't seen The Tax Collector either. Yeah. Oh, Shia LaBeouf, I think, is in that.
From the creator of Training Day and End of Watch. Oh, writer David Ayer directed and written. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, we probably spent enough time on The Beekeeper.
The Beekeeper. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
So you have another anime?
Oh yeah. I have 1, 2, 3, 4.
It's over 9,000!
I'm just going to rattle them out fairly quickly.
Okay.
So last week while we're live, I was saying I really wanted to review Solo Leveling, but it was coming out while we were live. So I watched the episode. It's based on a much loved, like one of our commenters said, a manhwa. Yep. It's actually very good. I was talking to my son about it. He said that it's better to watch this anime first than read the manhwa because of where they start, because they put you right into the story with the anime so that you don't have to go kind of into the beginning and build it up, because the comics are able to do that. You can really build it, but you only have so much time to really grip people with like visual stuff. Like, are they going to continue watching it? And so they really drop you in the story. It's harsh, man. I don't really want to give anything away, as far as to say, if you were looking forward to it, you've seen the trailer, give it a go. My only top tip would be maybe wait for a few weeks, because there's only one episode out, and by the time I got to the end of the episode 1, I was like, I don't know if I want to wait. I want to watch a whole bunch because this is really good. The animation is quality. Yeah. Okay, so that's Solo Leveling. I'm going to go through these quite quickly, like I said. Mashle, Might and Magic is back for its second season.
Wait, what is it called?
Mashle, Might and Magic. So last year I was telling you about an anime that was a Harry Potter anime. Imagine there was this world where everybody goes to this castle where you learn to do magic, right? And there's different levels, exactly like Harry Potter, different years. According to what you were born with, you get trained, and there's different versions, and there's hierarchies and cliques in the school. And then you are the one person on this planet, or one of the very few, that is born with no magic whatsoever. And yet you still want to be the greatest magician. In fact, if you don't have any magic, you are shunned, often either killed or carted off somewhere. And then you have your surrogate father who's been looking after you and telling you to train, as in doing exercise, because you got to be good at something. So now imagine that this character has trained like One Punch Man, and you basically take him and put him in that world of magic where he does exercise, but he does it so well that it looks like magic. So he can move so fast that he can make a candle with its friction catch on fire instead of using a basic magic. He can play Quidditch, but because he's moving his legs so fast in the air, it looks like he's flying, but he's not. He's just moving his legs so fast next to it that he's causing a current, and that's the sort of humor. And now we have a great arc that there are a number of other special magic users that aren't part of the school, like the Voldemort and his gang, that are up to no good. And so we started second season of that. And man, I love this series. It doesn't take itself seriously. It's really fun. you do get emotionally engaged with the characters because stuff does happen to them. They get beaten up. But our character, Mashle, just... You think he's beat, and then he does something ridiculous with his powers of exercise and his morality, which is awesome. And this is one of the best animes out there, for sure. One of the most unique. Like, taking worlds that we know and smashing it together, and it works.
Nice.
It's so good. It's so funny. Lastly, I'm not doing a review. I'm just letting everybody know that if you were a fan of Blue Exorcist, there were seasons 1 and 2. And I remember with my son, he was off school. I think he was ill, and we stuck this on. We'd heard about it. We watched seasons 1 and 2 back to back because we loved it. And we were sad that it ended. And that was 6 years ago. And now, after 6 years, we have season 3 that has just started. So, guys, if you didn't know, Blue Exorcist is back after a 6-year break.
Is this Kyoto Saga?
Yes, the Kyoto Saga.
Okay.
Nice.
Wow.
And that is all my anime news and reviews.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you for joining us. We hope that we have given you some things that maybe you want to put on your list and check out. We would love to hear from you, though. What's the best thing that you watched this week?
Yes.
Let us know in the comments. Don't forget Ruben's question and the movie quote quiz. Also, our Patreon starts at £1. £1.
$1.
I don't know what I was going to say.
One buck?
Yeah, I don't know what. But I was going to say buck, but but it's not buck, it's pound.
A buck a piece.
Oh, man. Yeah, £1. It's like $1.20 maybe. Gets you access to everything. And then we have tiers from there that you can get on to request different types of stuff. We have a few that are outside the paywall. So if you just want to get a sampling of that also, it's patreon.com/thebeardedones. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Ruben with the Ruby Tuesday. Me, Chris, Movies and Munchies. And wherever you happen to listen to podcasts, there is an extended audio edition of what we just talked about with more, talking about the thing that did not make our list this week, which mine was Pooh. It was the worst thing I watched this week. And then, and probably Ruben's too. We may actually even be talking about the same thing. And then we hit it some entertainment news, which this has been a busy week, and some things that are looking forward to in the coming week as well. So With that, we will see you next week. Take care.